people think it's cool. And then he smiles, and for a while I'm in love.
Hi! Welcome to River's Knitting Chronicles. This is episode 9, and I am River, also known as River Cameron on Ravelry, and thanks for joining me. I'm a little light on knitting content today, just because I've had to be monogamous. I have one thing going on right now, and that's finishing up this sweater. And I told you guys last week, if you watched, that I would be really upset if I was not to the sleeves by now, and I would probably be thinking that it wasn't going to happen by the end of the month. So without further ado, I have sleeve. I'm not done yet, but I'm pretty close. I have the bottom of the body. It's still going to have to be blocked because even with the seed stitch on the bottom, it's still wanting to roll. It called for this short of seed stitch, and I'm glad because I was really ready to be done. But if I knit this again, I think I'd go maybe 2 more rows with it, just so that it's a little more not wanting to curl up like this. But, okay, so let me start at the top. For those of you who have not seen this, this is the Vodka Lemonade sweater pattern. It is from Thea Coleman. I think it's cocktails, baby cocktails, something like that. She's got a number of different designs. I'm going to do a full pattern review next week because I'll be finished by the time I record next time. But I want to show you guys where I am. So here's the collar. It's seed stitch. It's done top down into the sleeves. There's through the back. It has these little pops of interest. It's way up here. Where we've got this, just a little bit of lace pattern coming like a little surprise right in the middle of the back. And then when you look at the front of it, let me close it up for you. It'll be easier next week when it's done. It's got a seed stitch. It's not a button band per se because you don't include buttons. It's meant to be left open. And it's got the little lace right there. And then it's got the seed stitch. So the seed stitch goes down here and then all the way around the back and then up the other side and then into this collar. So in doing some research lately and watching other shows, I have a feeling that this is going to help it keep its shape better than if I'd just done a superwash merino sweater, and those tend to grow from what I understand. I want to say it was Karen on Round the Twist who had said that she had put like an extra crochet in through one of hers because it kept growing and sagging. I might be wrong as to who that was because I do watch a lot of podcasts, but I have a feeling because the seed stitch doesn't stretch as much as the stockinette, I think that that's going to help it hold together that's my hope. That's what I'm thinking. Other than decorative, I think that was kind of the point of that. And so it calls for 3/4 sleeves, which I'd be just about there if I were doing 3/4, but I don't like 3/4 sleeves on me. I feel like I look heavier. I know that people say that it makes you look smaller, but I feel like having sleeves that look like they don't fit, like they're too short, you've got arms sticking out the end, to me makes me feel bigger. So I'd rather have something that fits. And if it's cold enough to need a merino sweater here in Florida, I'm going to want the sleeve length. So I actually don't have that long of arms, so maybe that's part of it. The 3/4 sleeves to me, on me, just look ill-fitting as opposed to 3/4, so I'm not going to have to do too much extra, but I'm getting pretty close to the end of this one. I'd hoped to be to the end of this one by the time I recorded. I never can knit as fast as I think I can. To be honest, I'm craving lace knitting right now so bad. It's ridiculous. As soon as I get done with this, I'm casting on something lacy. I just gotta. Stockinette is not my bag. I made a post on Facebook saying how I don't think I'm going to be signing up for a stockinette sweater anytime soon. There's another sweater that's also on my list that's a lacy sweater, and I'll talk about that when it gets close to actually getting on my needles. But I think I'd enjoy that better. The not thinking with stockinette, it's not that you still have to sort of think. And with lace, for me, I've gotten to the point now that it's a little bit more engaging than stockinette. It stays a little bit more interesting. I think I've said it this way before. I get to play a little bit more with it, but it's just as simple for me because I've done so much of it. And so that to me is more enjoyable. The stockinette, my brain tends to wander too much. Like, I've made some major mistakes. Believe it or not, I make more mistakes, I think, in stockinette than I do in regular lace. I'm not going to try to point it out. I'll see if you can see it next week, but with the camera and everything, I doubt you can. But at one point, just going around and round and round the sleeves, I dropped 4 stitches. I got to the end, and I guess I wasn't at the end, or I didn't start at the beginning of I don't know what I did, but I dropped a whole chunk of stitches and had to. I ended up having to rip back a bunch of probably over an hour's worth of rows to get it all fixed. I need to buy a crochet hook to be able to fix things like that, but it's just being that mindless. For me, makes more mistakes than something that's lacy or something that's color work, where I can watch, where the mindless thing can be like what's on TV or what I'm listening to, and I can focus on the knitting. That to me is more enjoyable. Also, doing just one thing at a time like that. You guys know I have other things on the needles. I have the Ex Libris for my Nook. I really want to get that finished before I go back to work in August. I have the Geyer cowl, which the poor thing has been on the needles for forever, and I can't start my son's monster until that comes off the needles. So I have other things that I want to be working on, and I think that's part of it. And I find myself, I'll do a row of sleeve, and then I check my Facebook and check the Ravelry and play a game of Bejeweled, and then I'm like, oh no, you're supposed to be knitting. So I think I'm just not a big fields of stockinette kind of girl. And nothing wrong with that. That's just me. So that's my knitting. And that was 7 minutes into the show. So I am continuing with what you guys, or at least one person, has asked me, and that's to talk about some of the things that live on the shelving unit behind me. And we talked about how most of the cubby holes are stash or yarn that's waiting for other projects to be able to get started. And the things that were on top were mostly finished objects. And so I'm going to talk about a few of those so you can check them out. The first one is the hat that I totally missed when I was doing all of my hats. This hat is called Hermione Hearts Ron, and it is a hat based on a hat that Hermione wears in either the 6th or the 7th Harry Potter film. The one that she wears is gray, but when I went to go get the yarn for this, they didn't have gray, although this looks kind of dark gray. It's actually blue, and so it's cables and lace, which is like Hermione. She's tough and strong, but she's also girly and sensitive and just a great person, I think. She's a really great character. This I made out of Serdar Snuggly Baby Bamboo. It's a DK, and it came in those little, it's like a cardboard circle, and it has the yarn all wrapped around like this. It's the first time I'd ever used bamboo. If you've never used bamboo, it doesn't feel like bamboo. It feels like yarn. I wouldn't necessarily say it feels like merino or anything, but it's not soft. It's not soft. Like, it's not it's hard to describe exactly what it feels like, but it knits just like regular yarn. It doesn't knit weird or anything. So if you've never used bamboo and are curious, go right. I think you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I wish this had more colors, or at least my local yarn shop had more colors. These were my first cables, and I think I did a pretty good job. If you look online at the project page, which I link all of those in the show notes, which are on the blog, riverknittingchronicles.com. These are my I think I split the yarn right there. But anyway, my cables go in the opposite direction. of the written pattern because I didn't realize the left-handed thing, knitting left, make sure cables go opposite. I don't think it matters. I don't think if I hadn't have pointed it out to you, you'd have noticed. Sometimes if I had attempted the Central Park hoodie where the cables are supposed to mirror each other, and it caused a problem then, more because I had decided to try to fix it, and then I messed up in fixing it, so they were going all sorts of wonky ways, which is part of why that was just really a terrible, terrible experience for me. But anyway, so most of the time when I'm knitting left, I just knit left, and I don't make adjustments. I used to try to switch like the SSKs and the knit two togethers or the cable crosses. I didn't in this, and then I tried a few things after that, and then I stopped again because most of the time you don't notice. My Harry Potter illusion shawl, I think I mentioned this before, he's facing the opposite direction on mine than he is on everybody else's, but I think that makes mine more awesome because he's different and he stands out. But anyway, so Hermione Hearts Ron, and I didn't say, it's by Christy Aylesworth, and I want to say it's a free pattern. Most of the time when there are patterns that are inspired by films and things like that, the person puts them up for free. So it was great for learning cables. There are a lot of them in here to practice on, but they're not tough ones. The lace is really simple, 3 little yarn overs at a diagonal like that. It fits well. I really enjoyed it. It's one I didn't wear as much as the blue beret one just because this kind of hat, then my hair is smushed if I wear it to work and then take it off while I'm in the room with the heat. But I do enjoy it. Great hat. Okay. This, for a long time, was my favorite pattern, and I want to say I've made a few of these and given others away as gifts. But the pattern is called Drop Stitch Scarf, and it's by Christy Vogel. I'm going to start at this end and then show you what's the problem with wearing these around a high school. Okay, so the yarn is Malabrigo Sock in Stone Chet, which was my favorite color way for a long time. I've kind of moved on past that. I still have some, but I just love the way the browns and the reds come together in this. I love the way the drop stitches work. I enjoyed making them. It's just gorgeous. And even though it's open and lacy like this, with all those drop stitches, it still is really warm. It was great in the winter until I was out of my classroom for my planning period, and I was up dealing with the bookkeeper and stuff like that, and I had it on, and the bell rang before I got done with what I needed to do, so I need to get back to my classroom quickly, and I'm kind of quickly trying to, there's a teacher walk through the halls. If you've never experienced it, you just kind of put on this game face, and you look straight ahead, you catch everyone's eye, and they kind of get out of your way, unless their back is to you. And so I'm trying to get around this kid who's standing in my doorway, and his backpack catches the drop stitches through here. And I have not been able to figure out how to fix this, but I have this humongous, so I haven't worn it since, because I'm scared I'm going to mess it up worse. But it's this section right here. See how narrow it is now? Because all those drop stitches are all sitting right here, and I have no idea what to do to fix it. But until that happened, it was one of my favorite scarves. Now I know, don't wear it around teenagers with lots of metal dangly bits on their stuff. Anyway, Drop Stitch Scarf by Christina Vogel. It's a really fun pattern. If you enjoy drop stitch patterns, it's a lot of like wrap, 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 drop. And I don't know, there was something about that was really enjoyable. So if you enjoy that, you would like this pattern. This, Kyra talked last week about how she mostly does scarves. She mostly does scarves because that's all she knows. I did a lot of scarves in the beginning. I think most everybody does a lot of. There are some people who jump in the deep end and their first thing is a sweater or something, but I did the scarf route as well. This is another one of my favorite ones, and this was not in Stone Chet. I cannot remember the colorway, but it's pretty close to that, but it's got a bit more purple in it. And It is called, and I was going to try to pronounce it the way it's actually written, but it's the Firebird pattern is the way to say it in English. It's Oiseau, Feu. It's Firebird. It's by Kaua Coffee. I will link it on the show notes. But how this worked is I started in the middle, and you go down the two sides, and it's this great kind of, I'm going to try to hold it really still. It's a window opening pattern, so there's windows at the top, and then they're all diamonds. The yarn is a little busy for the pattern, but I still really like it. So it's diamond shapes with lots of yarn overs in the top, and then it shrinks down, and the one next to it gets the yarn over, so it makes this great diamond pattern. And then both of the ends, and this is why you start in the middle and go down each end, so that the ends are both going in the same direction. And so it gets a little bit wider at the ends. It was not difficult. It looks kind of complicated with the way that the diamond patterns work and all, but it really wasn't. It was a lot of fun. I just enjoy stuff like this more than plain stockinette, and it's one of my favorites now. And I really like, if you see folded, the way the bottom bells out like that. I really enjoy that. So that is Oiseau de Feu. Yeah, sorry. By Cacao, Caoua Coffee. And I did this in Malabrigo Silky Merino, so this is in more of a DK than a sock. Okay. Last but not least for this is the, if you remember the first episode, I showed my TARDIS bigger on the inside meets the Jolly Roger, and that's because I didn't do the lacy part on the top of the bigger on the inside. I just did the TARDIS edging on the bigger on the inside, but I used the pattern for the crescent-shaped shawl from the Jolly Roger. This is the Jolly Roger. This is the shawl that I got first place in the county fair for, and I wish I could see what you were saying. The whole idea of it was that it was going to be this really pretty shawl, and then people were going to say, oh, wait a minute, are those skulls? Because I didn't want it to be super obvious when you first put it on. But they indeed are skulls. Let me see if I can get one to... That's not the best one. Maybe the wrong color. So, in the pattern, it's written to have it in two colors, like a darker color on top and a white on the bottom, so that the skulls, hey, they really stand out on my clothes, so that the skulls stand out more. But I kind of liked the idea of it being more subtle. Like, wait a minute, what a pretty, oh wait, it's skulls. I just thought that was awesome. I believe this was a free pattern. It's by Aino Haikala. It's called the Jolly Roger Shawl, and it's really a shawlette. This is in Malabrigo sock. I do not remember the colorway. It's really nice and long. The stockinette for this didn't bother me because it went really, really fast. I got a little bit bored, but not too terribly, and then we had the lace skulls showed up pretty quickly. So you cast on a bunch and you go back and forth, and then you don't have to pick up for the edging because you're already there. And that's why I decided to do my bigger on the inside the way I did this. The reason that one is so much bigger is because that was worsted weight and this is sock weight. So I really love this pattern. I might make more of these because it's such a great pattern, and I like the surprise skulls. That just makes me smile. So I really enjoy that. So Jolly Roger Shawl, Aino Haikala, high recommendations. So that's pretty much it for knitting content. I will have more next week because my sweater will be finished. One, it will be done, or it will be living in this box, and I will never speak of it again. But no, I'm so close. I'm so close, and I just have to really get my mind to stop flying away and trying to find other things to do. I should be back on the Geyer Cowl and the Ex Libris, and I also have something. My daughter's birthday is coming up in September, and I had a brilliant idea of what I was going to make her, and she watches my show, so I'm not going to mention it, and I'm not even going to mention the yarn yet, but we'll have a segment which Kyra can't watch starting next week. Yeah, I think she had a pretty good time. Thank you very much to those of you who said nice things about her. She's like me. No, I don't think, I told you guys, I watch myself back, and like with the it bothered me, but it wasn't an emotional, I felt bad over it. It was this is something I need to fix, or this is something I would like to work on to improve. There wasn't an emotional connection. I know some people, I think, were trying to make me feel better. I didn't feel bad about it. It was just felt like, this is something I can improve for next time. And she watched herself back, and I didn't hear it, and my guess is most of you didn't hear it unless I have some speech therapists out there. But she had a really bad lisp when she was little, and she was in speech therapy all through elementary school. I think she stopped in 6th grade, but she heard her lisp. I didn't hear it. I don't know that you heard it, but she was a little bit self-conscious. It's just, we had talked about doing some vocal. She's an actress. I'm a director. We had joked about doing some vocal warm-ups and things, and then we didn't. And I think if we had them, she would have felt better about her performance on the show. But I thought she did a great job. I thought she might have been a little quiet, and if those of you with headphones were having trouble, because I have done this enough that I know how much I need to project. I apologize for that, and now that she's heard it, I think she knows projection a little bit more. I think she got better when she got near the end, but especially when she put her head down, I think I had trouble hearing her, so if that caused you trouble, sorry about that. But she's new and learning, and I hope to have her back on the show soon, and I think she's adorable. I have a great kid. I have a great kid, and I can't put into words how lucky I am to have her in my life. And if we weren't related, I'd still want her in my life because she's that amazing a human being, and I just adore her. Anyway, so I'm glad that you guys got to meet her and have her in your lives, and hopefully I want to say that her class, she takes one summer class right now. It ends next week, and so then I think she might, depending on her work schedule, have time to come and do the show again sometime in August. Speaking of August, I go back to work the middle of August, so it looks like I didn't record last night because I was just feeling really yucky yesterday. I might go ahead and just start moving it to Saturdays just to get in the habit of doing it on Saturdays as opposed to Fridays, because chances are very, very slim that I'll be able to do this on Fridays once I start working, especially because I have to arrange my show rehearsal schedule around my son's dance schedule because he's 9 and can't drive himself anywhere. So, which means that we will be rehearsing Friday afternoon into evening, and then we get home and it's dinner and reading time and bath and all of that, and there's just not going to be time to record then. So it's going to be on the weekend, so I need to just, I think, get myself used to doing it then. So I think we'll go ahead and move permanently to either Saturdays or Sundays. Okay, so shorter show, but thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking around with me. If you would like to join the group, we have 80 members now, so excited, and we are Rivers Knitting Chronicles on Ravelry. I also have this show on YouTube, and some of you might be watching there, so hi YouTube subscribers. They just had me update the title of the name of the channel last night, so I'm not sure how that works, but prior to now it had to be Knitting Chronicles, all one word, because Rivers Knitting Chronicles didn't fit. Last night, they let me switch it to Rivers Knitting Chronicles with spaces and everything, but the URL address isn't going to change, so it's still going to be youtube.com. I don't know how that works, but it's still going to stay the same, but the title on the YouTube channel will, I believe, now be Rivers Knitting Chronicles. But the show notes aren't there. If you're there, look in the little box that's right under in the little show description, and I put a link, or at least I put the address to the show notes, which are on the blog, which is riversknittingchronicles.com. If you're watching on iTunes, hi, iTunes people. I have trouble with my own show on iTunes, and I don't know why that is. If my mouth and my talking isn't syncing up, it's something to do with the way the iTunes download works, because it's in other shows, I download myself on iTunes to double check it, and I don't know quite why I do that, because I don't know how to fix anything, but the last few episodes have done that when I downloaded the iTunes ones, but on YouTube and on the blog, they're fine. So if it's bugging you, but you really still want to watch me, you can go to the blog and get them, you can go to YouTube and get them. There are a couple of different feed sites that Feedly, I think, is what one of my friends uses, so that might be able to help you out. And I am on Twitter, and I am River Cameron on Twitter. I'm not River Cameron. That is a boy who I think is British. But so I am River Cameron on Twitter, and I don't tweet much other than to say the show is updated, and sometimes I'll retweet something from someone else, and I haven't quite figured out Twitter or the hashtags. I don't get the hashtags. I don't know how to. It just seems like people make up random stuff and stick a little number sign in front of it, and I don't get it. I guess I'm old. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week. Okay.
I have a crush on a boy named Samson. He doesn't know who I am, and he's got thick brown hair, blue eyes that stare into your soul.